Hello everyone, welcome to the Old Man and the Reed. My name is Jerry. Today I'm going to talk about a few of the great Russian writers I've read. Now, Russia is just very famous for the number of really outstanding writers they've had throughout their history. Some of the truly finest writers of all time. Some of them I've read enough of that I can do individual videos, but others I just haven't read that many of. A few I can combine, maybe 2 or 3 in a video, but I do have a few that I've only read one book of, and so that's what I'm going to do today on this video, is talk about I think it's 9 writers I have that I've only read one book from. So with that, I'll start showing the books. The earliest published book that I have, published in 1839, is Eugene Onegin by Alexander Pushkin. This is an incredible novel written in verse, and it is about Eugene Onegin. He inherits an estate from his uncle and moves there, and then he befriends one of the neighbors, Vladimir Lenski. Lenski then invites him to a dinner and introduces him to his girlfriend Olga and her sister Tatiana. Tatiana falls in love with Onegin, but he doesn't feel the same and basically rejects her. And then Onegin starts trying to take Olga away, and so Lenski challenges him to a duel in which Lenski is killed. And so from that, Onegin starts traveling, and eventually, a few years later, returns home. He's decided he is interested in Tatiana now, but then he finds out that she's married, and she rejects him now. The next book I have is A Hero of Our Time. This was published in 1840 by Mikhail Lermontov, and this is a story told by an unnamed narrator, but it's about a man named Pechorin, and it's told in basically 5 short stories, and each of them is about an event in Pechorin's life. The first, titled Bella, and this is where Pechorin has fallen in love with a woman named Bella. He arranges with Bella's brother to have him bring her to him in exchange for a horse, and when the brother does that, it leads to some tragic events. The next story is Maxim Maximich, and in this one, Maximich asks Pechorin's servant to arrange a meeting between the two, and when they do, Pechorin ends up rudely walking away from him. The next is titled Tamon, and in this one, Pechorin is in a hut with a blind boy, and during the night he sees the blind boy sneak out, so he follows him and sees him meeting with a man and a woman. The next story, titled Princess Mary, this is where he meets a man named Gruzhnitsky, and neither of the men like the other, but Gruzhnitsky has fallen in love with Princess Mary. So Pechorin seduces her, which leads to some more tragic events. And then the last story in the book, The Fatalist, and this is where a friend of Pechorin's is killed, and Pechorin apprehends the killer. The next book I have is Years of Childhood, published in 1858 by Sergei Aksakov. Just a brilliant memoir of Aksakov's early childhood, just extraordinarily well written. But the story basically, his mother becomes gravely ill, and so Aksakov and his sister are taken to the grandparents' estate to stay while his mother recovers. Eventually, the mother recovers, and the two return to their home in the city of Ufa. But later, the grandfather dies, and the grandmother contacts Sergei's father and wants him to come take control of the estate. The father at first starts traveling back and forth between Ufa and the estate, but then the family eventually moves to the estate. The next book I have is Oblomov, published in 1859 by Ivan Goncharov, and this follows Oblomov. He's a man of the upper class, but he lives just in semi-squalor. He's just not motivated to do anything, and is incredibly lazy. In fact, the first half of the book, he never leaves his bed. He just has his servant do things for him. But eventually he falls in love with a girl named Olga, but he just has no motivation to do anything, and so that relationship eventually just dissolves. Then later, Oblomov meets up with a friend, Stoltz, and he learns that Stoltz has married Olga now, and so he Oblomov is ecstatic to hear that, because now he has no obligations towards her. The next book I have is Fathers and Sons, published in 1862 by Ivan Turgenev, just an incredibly good writer. This is a story that revolves around the relationship between two sons and each of their fathers. This is during a time of political change in Russia, and shows the generational indifferences that exist. The two sons are schoolmates at university, and they want to see Russia more westernized, but the two fathers are old school. So this story takes place during a time leading up to the emancipation of the serfs in 1861. The next book is The Lower Depth, published in 1902 by Maxim Gorky. And this is just a short play that focuses attention on just the lowest rungs of society. It's really a bleak and dark portrayal of how people with just no hope at all try to cope with the reality of their lives. The next book I have is The Story of a Life, published in 1956 by Konstantin Postovsky. And I have to say, this is probably one of my all-time favorite books I've ever read. It's just fabulous. But like the title suggests, it's the story of a life, but it's really much more than just an autobiography. It talks about some of the more turbulent times, the period leading up to World War II and on through the war into the Russian Revolution. But the story is told in through very short vignettes, each about different events and people in his life. But the writing is just absolutely incredible. Very descriptive prose and superb storytelling. But I thought each of the vignettes was a work of art in its own. The next book I have is Dr. Zhivago, published in 1957 by Boris Pasternak. This is an epic novel that takes place during turbulent times in Russia. It goes through the Russian Revolution, World War I, the Russian Civil War, and then up to World War II. But it basically just follows the life of Yuri Zhivago, and it includes just a huge number of characters throughout the book, and they often have some very improbable continual meetings throughout the book. But and then the story is also much of it is about Yuri's very complicated love life. And the final book I have is The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. This was published in 1966, and it's a book that almost defies description, but it's basically about the worst times of the Stalin rule, and it has Satan and his minions descending on Moscow and wreaking havoc. And it's basically about the enormous oppression that the people were subjected to, and just the bureaucratic nightmare that they had to go through. It's kind of a mind-numbing tale of magic and mysticism and the supernatural. But those are the books of a few of the really, truly great Russian writers I've read. So I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on another video. Thanks.